Well, hello. I'm Neville Johnson. I'm co-publisher of Cool Titles, and we're here with Mitch Ryder.
That would be me.
And why we are here is because of this book, Devils in Blue Dresses, My Wild Ride as a Rock and Roll Legend, which Cool Titles published. And we're here to do an author interview with him. I'm so grateful he's here. How important to your music is the fact that you grew up in Detroit?
Extremely. Because of my style, the influences I had were very urban. And Detroit was full of urbanness. And so I chewed my way. What I tasted growing up was mostly from the black community. And fortunately, the band that I ended up having the hits with, they had a rock and roll sensibility. And when you mixed those two sort of genres, it created a new sound for white boys at that time.
Is there one particular artist from your youth that influenced you and you admire?
There's actually a couple of them, and it's going to sound weird, but Little Richard was influential, but only because of the energy. Okay, he was not what I call a great writer, but he was so energetic, and I had never heard anything like that. I was listening to Pink Shoelaces by Pat Boone or something like that, and then I heard Little Richard's voice, and I said, there can't be that sound, that energy, that pain. It was just overwhelming, the emotions that Little Richard brought. But then on the writing side of the coin, Hank Williams, which is really, it seems unnatural to be in love with Little Richard and then also Hank Williams. But my mom was from the South, and she was a devout Hank Williams fan. And she would sing, when I was a baby, growing up, preschool and everything, she would sing Hank Williams to me every day, every night. And she knew every song he ever did. She started writing songs, my mother actually, and she would try them. Here I am, 5 years old, and I've got my mother reading and singing her lyrics to these songs that she's written. It was an amazing childhood. And my father sang on the radio in Detroit with the big bands in that era when they would come through. And that disappeared for him once the Army, once we got involved in the Second World War. When he came out of the service, he couldn't reclaim that.
If you had not been a musician, what do you think you would have done?
I can't imagine being anything else, honestly. I don't think I could.
How young were you when you realized this was your destiny?
I don't know if you know much about Italian families, but my sister and I, Nina, who was my mentor, we were 4 and 5 years old, and our parents would drag us out to sing for the family or company. I remember the first song we sang together was, "When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie." That's Amore. But we had that. We didn't fasten on to it. I didn't dig my teeth into it until I got into my teens. My father kept prompting me. My mother kept pushing me because they couldn't do it, and they wanted somebody in the family to do it, to embrace music. Oddly enough, when I did finally achieve success, my father started living vicariously through my fame because he never was able to claim that for himself. He claimed it through me.
Why was it important to you to write Devils in Blue Dresses?
Nasty things you shouldn't talk about, I guess. It was important. It was a soul cleansing, in a way.
Tell us about your process in writing the book.
The book took 2 years and 3 drafts. And I would go, just so the stream of consciousness would remain, every time I'd go to write something new, I would reread everything from page 1 in order to continue.
Okay. Was it difficult for you?
Yes, it was tedious. But when you finally put your truth down and were affected by it and reacted to it, and knew that it was the truth, it was a very rewarding thing to.
What were the hardest parts to write about? What was difficult? And
My character, my bad choices, my lack of education, those were difficult to write about. Had I been more centered and grounded, I probably would have thought differently as I approached music as a business, for sure.
well, one of the things you told me in the process of writing the book was that it was about redemption.
Yes, you had to cleanse your soul, and hope that God allowed that to happen.
Yeah, and you point fingers and tell some, what shall we say, some very interesting tales about being a rock and roller in those particular days and the
Just
people.
my sense of humor. That's
Yeah.
I find it humorous. When I'm doing a tour with another artist and I see him pull a gun out and try to shoot his drummer right in front of me, I think that's pretty hilarious.
You know, you won some awards for this book.
Yeah.
Tell us about those awards.
I believe I have 3 awards at home. Probably the most prestigious one is what they call the IPPY, Independent Publishers. And it was exciting for me. It also brought some trauma to our family because my wife is a very talented person, a very gifted writer and a poet. And she's been working laboring at a project for a long time. And here I go on my first outing, and suddenly I'm getting awards, not knowing that I could even write, actually.
So I think it was for Best Nonfiction Book, wasn't it?
Yes.
What have your fans and readers said to you about the book?
They want their money back.
No, I mean,
Just kidding.
you and I both know it has been extremely well reviewed
Yeah.
by critics. And what's the response you've gotten personally that you've seen from people?
It's more of an influence. The responses I'm getting are driving me to sort of attempt to write again. But my life is so weird about writing songs. You've got songs that you have to write, and I've written a musical stage play. I love the language. I love our language very much. I love being able to manipulate it to the point where you can get rid of all the blemishes that are inherent in your psyche and in your soul. And you can do that. If you master the language, you can hide things very well. And that's what's interesting about this book. I took the handcuffs off for that one.
All right. I want to thank Mitch Ryder for spending time with us and commend this book to all of you out there. It's an extraordinary read, and it is very revealing and honest, and really introduces you to the highs and lows of being a traveling, performing, recording artist. And he's absolutely one of the best of all time, a true legend. I'm so appreciative he came to speak with us and that you took the time to watch this. Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to say hi to my mom and dad. They're both in heaven now.